What is going on, pimps and players? It's your boy Namejamie, and today is a sad, sad day. As some of you know, I recently started uploading again, and my first video was back last Thursday, and it was a mini quest guide on the In Search of Knowledge mini quest that was added with the Forthos Dungeon. The Forthos Dungeon also introduced the Grubby Keys, so I thought why not go ahead and make a video on that. So last Thursday, I get to work and start killing stupid spiders in this dungeon because for some reason, my dumbass thought that you had to actually kill the monsters and get the keys yourself, even though these keys are tradable. So I'm 2000 KC deep on these spiders with 30 keys, and I go ahead and look up Grubby Keys on Google to see if I can find any more information about how to get them or if killing another monster is more efficient. And I come to find out that people have already made videos on opening these chests, or the Grubby Chest, because these keys are buyable. So I'm a little heated. I'm also crying in my pillow at night. And so on Friday, I go ahead and say, okay, why don't I do 500 keys then to make my video a little different and spice things up a little bit. So I buy 500 keys and start doing this chest in the runs. And I come to find out that you can do about 100 keys per hour. So I say, why not just do a loot from 10 hours at Grubby Chest? Because that will be 1,000 keys. Those are nice round numbers. Let's do that. So I finished that Monday night. It's like 12 p.m. So I say, you know what? I'm going to bed. I'll just do this tomorrow morning. No one's made this video yet. I'm all good. I wake up Tuesday morning to find out I'm having a surprise birthday party because my birthday's this Friday and my family can't go out then. So I'm having a surprise birthday party today. So you know what? I go out. We have a good time. It is what it is. At night, I go to my law school class and I get back at like 10, 11 o'clock and go to bed. All is good in my world. I wake up this morning to find out that Seerz, this mother trucker, has gone ahead and made my video. And I was a little heated, but I went ahead and watched his video anyways. And it's a great video. He's an amazing editor, an amazing video maker. And by no means do I actually think he stole my video idea. These videos are very common to make. But I actually did, as I said, watch his whole video, and I disagreed with a few ways he was doing things. So I figured, you know what? I might as well go ahead and still make this video because I put way too much time into it. And I'll just add some commentary that I thought was useful for people who are going to do this. And also just try and make it a little bit different than his video so people could watch both of them. So the first thing I wanted to talk about that I saw in his video that I disagreed with was that he was teleporting to the glade and then running down the ladder, which leads to the spider pit, and then going through the cobwebs and running that way. I think that running path is actually significantly slower than the one I was using. And the one I was using was unlocking the crystal key, which unlocks the doors in the dungeon, and then running through the regular dungeon entrance through the undead mages right to the chest. I found my runs were actually a little bit faster than his, and even though there's just a few seconds faster per run, those add up, especially when you're doing 2 keys every run, and you have to do 1,000 keys total. The other thing to note with this method, though, is that you do have to run through the undead druid, so if you have really low HP, like, I don't know, like 20 HP, then this method actually might be a little dangerous unless you have prey against magic. The other thing I wanted to talk about that I saw in his inventory was that he was doing 3 to 5 keys per chest, or like inventory run, and that I found was a big no-no. This chest drops on average like 10 to 15 items per open, and you don't want to lose any of those items, especially if you're trying to maximize profit. So at most, per run, you only want to bring 2 keys. And even then, you still have some extra things that drop on the floor, but usually if you bring another 2 keys the next run, you can fit those extra things you dropped on the floor back in your inventory, and that way you lose absolutely nothing. And the third and final thing I wanted to briefly mention was that he was teleporting back to Castle Wars, but if you use my method, I think it's actually much easier to bank and everything just using house teleports and using 2 tabs per run, or basically 1 tab per key if that's easier to think about, so 1,000 tabs total. But this gives you access to the rejuvenation pool and a quick tele back to Edgeville or Varrock, depending if you're using a Nexus portal or Glory, and it also gives you access to teleport back using the jewelry box, which has the skills necklace, which allows you to teleport to the Woodcutting Guild. But again, the main reason I said I use this is to use the rejuvenation pool, because Then I didn't have to worry about turning prayer on when I went through the undead druids because I was just going to get my HP back anyways. And it also made me get my run energy back permanently, which allowed me to not use anything like stamina pots or energy pots. Basically, more supplies that would eat into my profit. Also, one last thing I wanted to go over before we go over the loot itself is how to gain access to this gate at the beginning of the dungeon that I've been using. Because for those of you who are first entering the dungeon, this gate is actually going to be locked, and to unlock it you need to gain access to the dungeon key. And the way you do that is by talking to this guy on screen now. He's going to give you one of two options. The first is to help him and the second is to fight him, and each of these options actually leads you down a different path. So if you help him, I believe you need to give him 5 dragon stones, and then he gives you a key which allows you to access the altar in the next room. You then have to use 100 dragon bones on that altar in order to access the dungeon key, which allows you to unlock the gate that I'm using. If you choose the second option, which is to fight him, you actually don't have to give him the 5 dragon stones, because after you defeat him in battle, he'll give you the key for the altar in the next room. But you have to use 200 dragon bones on that altar in order to access the dungeon key. Now, I believe as the math is working out now, it's actually cheaper to just help him. But if you want to go through that cool cutscene like I did and spend the little extra money, then you can go ahead and do that as well. With all that being said, and wrapping up these last few keys, let's jump into the loot. Now, I kept the 2 and 3 dose pots that you got in their respective amounts, and I didn't decant them and combine them into 4 doses. And I don't really think that changes the price check, but if you want to go ahead and do that yourself to see if it changes it at all, you can do that. And also, I spent roughly about 40 key each per key, meaning that 1,000 keys cost me a little under 40 mil, as you can see on screen with the GE offers. But when you add in the 1,000 house tabs, I think it's very safe to see that I spent around 40 mil total for all this stuff. And if you go ahead and look at this price check, I made 52 mil total in 1,000 keys, which means that I made roughly 12 mil in profit. Now, because I said earlier that is 100 keys per hour doing this running method, that means you're going to make about 1.2 mil if you're focused in doing 100 keys per hour. Now, I wouldn't really recommend this method actually to anyone, even though this is good money, as you can see. And that's because anyone who's access to a 40 mil cash stack probably has better GP per hour methods and more fun methods to do in general on old school. But if you say had 4 mil and you wanted to turn that 4 mil into 5 mil while doing something pretty AFK for an hour, maybe I would recommend doing this, as you can definitely turn on some Netflix on the side and just cruise through it. But even with that said, I think there are better money-making methods out there, like crystal keys or some skilling methods that probably cost less to get into and yield better GP per hour. So I would definitely look at other money-making methods first, unless these keys drop to like 25, 30, 35k per key, and then I would highly recommend this money-making method. But with that said, that's going to be all for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, even if you had already watched the Seerz video. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, as it really does help. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace! I do it for